one of the positive things about 2025 has been the realization among many previous cult members, shall we say, of the Trump cult, that he's not the savior, and actually even more than that, he's on the same side of those he claimed to be opposing. Another thing I said through, well, not just through 2024, but since 2016, when he first came on the scene, is that this guy is owned by Israel, and he's a front man for what I call the global cult, the deep state, as some people call it. And he has been telling his target audience what it wants to hear to hide the fact that he's on the side of what his target audience wants to bring down. It's been extraordinary. But what has happened, it seems to me anyway, observing it, is that more and more of the former MAGA and former Trump supporters, even the soft Trump supporters, especially them, have gone, hold on a minute. This is not what he said he would do. Yeah. He's doing what he said he wouldn't do, and he's not doing what he said that he would do. And he's now at a point where his poll levels are, I mean, they're off the charts in terms of how low they are. And the good thing is that I'm seeing people saying, so what now? What now? Where do we go from here? Because he's not done what he said he would do. And that what now is very, very important, because if people don't let go of the idea that politics is the answer, then we're just going to go A, B, A, B, A, B to global dystopia.
Yeah. I mean, people have woken up to Trump. I've seen that in the last few days. The Israel first stuff has got to a level where it's just ridiculous now. And also, I think what that's doing, which is a good thing, is it's starting to make people in Britain a little bit more streetwise to the reform, which is essentially Trump Mark II, isn't it? It's coming in with a so-called outsider. In terms of what we were talking about last year, coming into this year, free speech was a major thing. Obviously, you had the imprisonment of all these people after Southport, and obviously we were talking about the fact that there was multiple layers to it. One being you would create a situation where people were terrified to say anything because I don't want to go to prison. So people kind of shut their mouth, which if you are purposely destroying society, which they clearly are, and people are aware of that now. I don't think people think it's incompetence anymore. I mean, looking at Miliband and Lammy and Reeves and people like you could forgive people for thinking that it's incompetence because they're incompetent, but they've realized now and crossed that Rubicon of, hang on a minute, these guys are doing this on purpose. Like, So what you need to do at that point, if you're going to destroy things intentionally, is you need to shut people up from calling it out. So obviously the freedom of speech thing has become massive in 2025, and where we are now, there's more people going to prison. I think is it 5,700 people arrested for words in the last 12 months?
More than North Korea, Russia and China put together.
Unbelievable.
And also put in prison for prolonged periods of time.
Yeah, of course, that lad in Wales who's just gone down for 20 months for tweets that were against Israel, which the Free Speech Union don't seem to want to speak up.
Was very quiet.
They're very quiet because these people like Toby Young also founded the British Friends of Israel, so they won't obviously, we support free speech as long as we agree with it. But, okay.
Yeah, that's Toby Young. I don't know whether you also noticed that you've got the same policies both sides of the Atlantic, but targeted on different people. So you've got Starmer in this country. He's using the right, the danger of the right, as an excuse to shut down freedom of speech. And in America, Trump is using the danger of the left to shut down freedom of speech. And as I keep saying, watch the outcome, not the words. And the outcome, both sides of the Atlantic, is the shutting down of freedom of speech. Yeah. It's blatant.
And it's the answer to everything. I was talking about that on Trending this week. It's like, whether it be a pandemic, whether it be climate change, whether it be terrorism or whatever, what we need to combat it is less speech. It's the answer to every single thing.
Well, what they're trying to do, I think the big question then is, what are they trying to stop people from saying?
I think the Israel thing is massive, and we spoke about that in 2024, that they were going to try and get ahead of it, that actually they're targeting, and the targeting now of Palestinian protesters is insane.
Well, Trump's just banned them from coming to the United States.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? I don't think that's for stuff that's already happened. I think that's for stuff that's coming. And again, we spoke about that in 2024, and I think it'll be the same.
Sorry, what do you mean with that?
Well, it's one of them, isn't it? It's like, in terms of silencing Palestinian voices and pro-Palestinian voices for what they've done, I mean, the horse is sort of bolted, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's not anyone in the world that doesn't realise there's tens of thousands of kids been blown to pieces.
I think they know that it's been done, Gaz, but I think that they don't understand why.
No.
And that's the big thing they don't want people to understand.
But I think in terms of the freedom of speech, I think they're trying to get in ahead of time for what is coming, whether it be with Iran or whatever else. And also, I think the Russian thing is huge. You know, this thing is it's very much for me like digital ID, in the sense that when we were fighting back against the COVID tyranny, we were fighting back against the state, fighting against the police and whoever else was involved in that. But you're also fighting against your neighbour, your work colleague, your boss, and all that kind of stuff. When it comes to digital ID, no one wants that. So you're fighting the state. So it's everyone versus the state, essentially. And the same with war with Russia. I mean, who wants war with Russia?
Yeah.
Literally no one. Like, you're not arguing with your neighbour who's out there with a rifle in his hand going, I'm ready to go. Like, that's not happening. No. And yet they're still forcing it.
Yeah.
And you've got this new head of MI5 who's, I mean, she's half Ukrainian, half Polish. So she's not even English. She doesn't have a drop of British blood. Yet she's leading the charge and is saying that, you know, Russia is a threat and an aggressor, and that we need to be prepared, and all the others are saying that we need to be prepared for our children and our sons and daughters to face what our grandparents faced in World War II. And you're like, okay, one, you're half Polish, half Ukrainian. All right.
Ukrainian.
And two, your grandfather was a Nazi defector who defected from the Russian military to the Nazis in Ukraine and rounded up Jews and Russian partisans for slaughter. I don't think you're qualified, love.
No.
If I'm honest, I think you're a little bit close.
Yeah.
And yet she's there with all the microphones in front, trying to get us to go to war with Russia, and no one wants it, which makes me think then, okay, we need a catalysing event then, don't we?
Yeah, we had the head of the British Armed Forces yesterday talking about it as well, talking about it's unpatriotic if you don't want to go and fight, and all of those things, talking about conscription. It's just the propaganda it's going to fail, because like Dad made the point earlier about the working class, that's generally who died in World War II. It was the working class people that went and fought. And they've been vilified, they've been beaten down, whether it's through policy, whether it's through whatever, over the last half a century, and now you want them to go and fight for you. Well, they're not going to do that. They're certainly not going to do that willingly.
No, that's where...
So what comes, like you say?
That's where, you know, some sarin gas in the tube or whatever, do you know what I mean? Where they pull some stunt.
Do you expect that?
Well, a goal for Tonkin style?
I'd be very surprised, because it's been so successful historically, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, when you look, I mean, my father's experience, he was born in 1907. So he kind of lived as a kid through the First World War, and then he lived right through as a in the Army Medical Corps and what have you in the Second World War. And you know, you had, and this is where, hello people, please just take a breath and take your power back, because you look at Britain in the pre-First World War, right? And the horrors of conditions that people were living in. And then they take those people from those horror conditions and they get them to go into Europe to fight a bloody war, which they've manipulated on purpose. You then had, and you know, my father, he walked from London to Blackpool in the Great Depression. London to Blackpool for people around the world is a long way, looking for work. And you had that massive recession during the 1930s. where people were in terrible straits, vast queues at looking for work. And then they got those people to go and fight the Second World War.
Yeah.
What are they fighting for? As someone said about, defending the homeland, we've got the best defended slums in the world, And so let's look at it now, people, and see what this network is doing in all these countries, how they're manipulating the war, but also how they want you to fight it. What are you doing? You've got people in Russia being told to fight Ukraine, and who's telling them?
Yeah.
A tiny bloody cabal around Putin. And then in Ukraine, you've got the same situation around Zelensky. And the common denominator is people who don't want to fight a war are fighting a war. Mm-hmm. And it's the same all over the world. As we used to say in the 1960s, what if we had a war and no one turned up? Yeah. There wouldn't be a war. I mean, if Starmer and Trump and all these other people want to get in a room with Putin and what have you, and knock the living crap out of each other, well, be my guest, but don't get us involved. And us has the power to say we're not having it, we're not doing it. No, we're not going to fight your wars. And the people of Russia have the same option. If enough of them do it, there is no power in authority. It doesn't exist. Yeah. It only exists when we give our power to them. And so we are, in so many ways now, coming together to around certain key subjects which have at least the potential of bringing people in a united response to say we're not doing it. One is a war, and another one is digital ID. If enough people say no, we're not doing it, it doesn't happen because it can't happen.